In this video, we're going to talk about what values does a company get from having technical customer success managers, or what values do technical customer success managers bring to a company. For the sake of the rest of this video, I'm going to say TCSM for short, or CSM. They all mean the same thing. Okay, let's do this. So what value does a TCSM bring? So they are the profit generators of a company. Where when we looked at the last role, a sales engineer role, they're revenue generators. And the reason why CSMs are profit generators is because they do post sales and they actually help grow revenue or grow profit from customers. Because usually sales is expensive. To bring on a net new customer, a company usually takes a hit. They don't make any profit. Some of them actually lose money from bringing customers on, or for most organizations, they try to break even when bringing on or acquiring a new customer. The CSM's job is basically to nurture these customers so they keep buying more. First, that they renew. Second, they buy more and expand and grow. And that's like the main value that CSMs bring to a company. They're profit generators for a company. Second, they help realize the product value for customers. So whereas sales, even sales engineers, they give you a glimpse of the promise of the product, CSMs, they're responsible for realizing or fulfilling that promise. And CSMs, they offer a diverse set of skills that encompasses business and technical. I mean, similar to a sales engineer, but typically like a CSM, a lot of responsibilities can fall under them. They could be in charge of onboarding. They do like technical support. They do project management. They do account management, and they also sell. And then depending on how technical the product is, then there's that extra layer of complexity, whether like depending on the business, the complexity of the business model and the technical use case of the company that you're representing, it amplifies the responsibilities and skills that you have to shine in a CSM role. And I think lastly, the value they bring is they manage the success of both customers and their company, right? When a CSM does well and makes their customer portfolio, all their customers happy, they benefit, the customers benefit a lot from fulfilling a promise that was given by the company that the CSM is representing. And when that happens, then it benefits your company and you as like a sales rep to generate more profit from them. In terms of responsibilities, it's a mix, right? They both have, CSMs or TCSMs, they have business and technical. They handle the business and technical discoveries. That's because, right now the CSM role is still evolving, but in most companies, these CSMs, they're tasked with a lot more. They have to kind of wear the hat of an AE and an SE, if there isn't one. But there are companies where, like the net new counterparts, there's like a CSM that functions like an AE, and then there's like a customer success engineer that functions as a sales engineer. But for the most part, especially if you have the title as a TCSM, you're doing both the business and technical discoveries, like I am in my current role. You can do, you'll be responsible for product demos, for post-sales work. So you're still selling. When a customer has a need, they want to expand, then you're effectively acting as an AE yourself, and you're pitching like you would an AE. But the only difference is you would understand the use case much more, and you would understand solutions much more because you're in charge of doing that. Resolves customers' product issues. That's the technical enablement support aspect. Onboarding new customers when a professional services department does not exist. That means like product implementation, customer onboarding, and then managing a portfolio of customers. That's basically account management. And like I mentioned, ensuring that customers achieve their desired outcomes, right? The main goal of a CSM is to help customers achieve their desired outcomes, or the promise that the product gave them when they purchased the product. And then lastly, you manage a variety of like support or product improvement projects. And this is where like the aspect of project management comes in. Typically, like a CSM, they're in a great position to move into roles like a project manager, technical project manager, or a product manager role because of these diverse like responsibilities where you're customer facing, you're getting customer feedback, but then you're also like a mediator for your company and customers. In terms of success metrics, for CSMs, it is a sales role, because you are in a lot of companies, you are carrying a renewal quota that you have to try your best to hit, and on top of that, you might have quotas around upsells and expansions. Aside from the sales quotas, you also might have responsibilities to increase product adoption, making sure that your customers are utilizing the product to its full potential, and then just tracking which features are not being utilized, and then trying to engage customers to start using them. And then customer satisfaction scores. So it piggybacks off of ensuring that customers achieve their desired outcomes. So you have to kind of track an array of metrics that could range from like NPS or CSAT, those metrics that we covered in the customer success section of this course, basically. And then lastly, referrals, case studies, marketing, reviews. This is like where customer success and marketing works together, or it blends in, or like product marketing specifically, because CSMs are in the greatest position to ask for these things, because if a CSM successfully makes sure a customer is successful, then they have the ability for these asks to get customer success case studies, reviews, and then referrals to other potential like net new customers. What is the skill tree for a TCSM? So start as a TCSM. We have a section for customer success that teaches you how you would get into customer success as a career path. And you can start as, a customer success specialist, customer success associate, customer success analyst, something like that, a very entry-level role, and then eventually roll into CSM and then into like a TCSM type of role. But for the purposes of this discussion, actually we're talking about skills, huh? Kind of jumped the gun, but let's move to the next part. So the CSM and TCSM, they basically utilize all the skills that we talked about in this course. So market development, sales, customer success. That's all on the business side. And this is a snapshot of like what the skill sets, a business acumen or business skill set will look like. And this basically encompasses like the full cycle or full stack sales, excluding marketing, right? This is where you're doing like hand-to-hand combat with customers or people to close deals and stuff. And these are things that are involved in all of these roles, but in different renditions as you're fulfilling a different role, right? But you still have to understand the qualification process in a market development perspective, sales, and then customer success. And then you would also have to understand different industry like sales frameworks, methodologies, because usually a CSM, they will interact with like SDRs, AEs, so they have to understand their culture, language, and then it basically encompasses these skills that we talked about. So effectively, as a CSM, it would be ideal for you to understand the full stack, like sales, like market development, all the way up to the post sales side. And then for technical skills, same thing. It's effectively the same thing as a sales engineer, minus the customer success portion. So this is where I advocate for the CSM role, because I think it is a very robust role, especially when you have the technical prefix in front of it and you're like a TCSM, which will be an upcoming role in the future. In terms of technical skills, it's divided same way as we talked in this course. There's this understanding software engineering, understanding the pros and cons of these things, and sometimes even in a sales engineering role, like understanding how to implement some of these solutions in a small scale for proof of concepts. And then for data and business intelligence, understanding how data flows and how it eventually becomes like served in a BI type of capacity or functionality is pretty important, because a CSM is very metrics oriented in the post sales side. So understanding how, not just like your company's data, but customers' data, how that is being aggregated, how it's being reused and repurposed into insightful analytics. That's important. And then we kind of covered aspects of data and business intelligence. And lastly, product management. So understanding how to set goals, metrics, understanding how to do proper decision making, prioritization of your time, your energy, resources, agile methodology, and just like overall leadership skills. So it's, some people will call a TCSM or a CSM as like a field product manager. So it is very true. Like for those who are aspiring to become like PMs, being a CSM is actually a really good foundation to build upon. And you can become a PM as you like. Most companies, they really want you to like beef up your technical skills. So as you become more technical, both in like, discovery and understanding, and even in implementation, then it'll be an easier transition into like a PM type of role. And this is where we get to career progression. So you start as a CSM or a TCSM. You can roll into sales, because effectively, I think when you're a CSM and then you roll into like enterprise AE type of territory, you'll be much more equipped because you understand how a customer is set up for success and what customers will benefit the most from your product. So I see a lot of ships where people would start in a CSM role and then move into like an enterprise AE role for the bigger paycheck. You can get into enterprise CSM territory also, where the payout will be it'll be big, but I think it'll be less definitely than an enterprise AE, and it'll be less than an enterprise sales engineer, because you are on the post sales side, and it's relatively easier to do sales when you already have the trust or relationship with customers. And sales ops and enablement, you can get into that too if you don't want to be in a customer facing role anymore, where you can support a group of like sales reps, CSMs, SDRs, AEs to help them sell. You can get into sales engineering also. It's not, a CSM already has like an array of skills, a good blend of business and technical. So if you wanted to move and apply your skills in the net new, like, frontier side of the sales process, then you can definitely do that. You can move into a customer success leadership role, and that usually happens when you start as a CSM, you move into like a more senior CSM, enterprise, or a senior CSM role, then you jump into a leadership role. That's totally possible and an awesome path also. And then you can also get into product marketing, because product marketing and then product management are kind of the same side of the coin. Product marketing is more the business and like the top of the funnel type of product management. And then you can get into product management also. Actually being a CSM and moving into a PM type of role is a pretty smooth transition, because there's a lot of overlap in skills. And like I mentioned in the last slide, if you can beef up on one of the weaknesses in a CSM type of role, which is usually technical, if you can beef that up, making a transition to like a PM role is much easier. So what are the pros and cons of a TCSM role? So pros: lucrative if you do enterprise customer success. It's lucrative, but it's not as lucrative as like an enterprise AE or an enterprise sales engineer, but still quite lucrative. You could hit $250,000 each year. It's fun in a very diverse responsibility type of role with different career paths. That's very diverse. It's a very fun role. And very technical, more technical SaaS companies are adopting this role, and it's growing. The CSM type of role is relatively new, and it is a on-demand role that, universities and like companies are like trying to help students or professionals be aware that this role exists, because there is a need for it. And from this role, you can learn the fundamentals of business and also technology. I forgot to write that in this role. For cons, mid-level turnover is still a sales role, and depending on the company and the role that you're in, it could be more salesy than it is the other attributes. So that's a danger. And then in terms of stress, it is more stressful because you do hold an individual quota. And you have to hit those quotas. There's renewals, upsells, and expansions. So that's stressful. And it's a lot of responsibility, right? You're preventing customers from churning, and you're helping them to be successful. So there's a lot of responsibility there, because if you mess up, then the company takes a big hit and you will lose your job for sure. And lastly, it's still really sales oriented. You are an individual quota carrying rep who's responsible for renewals, upsells, and expansions. And all in all, I still advocate for the CSM type of role, because I think it's a fun role. You will enjoy it. It's not boring. You will learn a lot. You'll get stretched, and you'll grow a lot in different capacities. And in terms of career opportunities, it's like a gateway type of role where you can evolve and pitch yourself into different roles if you want to try them out. And like for me, I did a lot of studies on how I can become a product manager, because that is my career aspiration in the future. And the CSM role is actually a role that positions you well to become a PM in the future. But in this section, we just covered what is a TCSM role, the pros and cons, responsibilities, success metrics, and career progressions. And I hope you like that, and hopefully this will be a career path that you might choose in the future for you.